All right, we are live. It's been a while since my last stream, probably 2 or 3 weeks. I'm not 100% sure on that. But yeah, it's Friday. I got some time and put together some notes, and we're ready to go. So, as long as you can hear me, just let me know if there's any audio problems. As usual, I will try and fix them on the fly. In worst case scenario, I will just restart the stream. So, anyway, I just wanted to catch people up on a number of things. There's obviously the Kamen America Volume 9 and action figure campaign. Brett, how's it going, man? Nice to see you. I got some Soulfinder news that just came in this morning, so that was good news. It's been a fun week with all the book stuff. I could talk about that. There's always something, but we are getting there. As somebody else said on Twitter today, you could see the light at the end of the tunnel for Soulfinder Tunnel Hounds. So talk about that. I think since last time I spoke, Kamen America has just went like crazy on Japanese Twitter, and I have been looking at Tim and Mark's feed, and there's all these Japanese readers, new ones, and people that are doing sculptures and 3D prints and their own like artwork and all sorts of stuff, and it's really kind of amazing to see. So could talk about that. Heroes Convention is coming up in June. That's in North Carolina, June 14th through 16th. So if you're remotely close to Heroes Con and you want to talk comics or buy comics or just hang out for a little bit with me, Tim, Mark, and Eric Canetti, we will be there. I'll bring that up in a second. And yeah, so I'm just going to run through the list. There's a few political things I could just kind of, dink and dunk and talk about here or there, but I really just wanted to catch up and see who's around, talk to guys like Brett, say hello, say that I am live, and we have plenty of updates. Oh, and the other thing, which I don't think I've streamed since, is that Tim shared the new Iconic Comics warehouse. It's very spacious. So I guess I could do like a quick little show of that. And you don't really need audio that much. I don't know what'll show up or not, but
check it out. This is the new Iconic Comics headquarters and warehouse plus fulfillment place. Not everything has been moved in already. These are actually all reader copies for all of our books, as well as new inventory. As you can see here, we got Butch Killigan, Sven's book, which wrapped up fulfillment a few weeks ago. And we've been able to triple the space that we have with this new location. So here we have Soulfinder stuff, Arcathena, Kamen America. Those are plush toys over there on the other side. Here's where we do packing and processing of orders. Trading cards are over here. So whenever packages are mailed out, they'll typically take a random traded card and put it in, and they try to group it by title. And we have some new ones in. So again, here's Kindred Heavens, and there's Butch Killigan, and there's Kelly Hopkins. And then these are Arcathena trading cards written by Eric Canetti, because he has his own template that he uses. And here are our thank you cards, like from Hachifusa, Yamaneko-san, and Scott Mann. There's a big wheel of packing tape. There are those resin maquettes ready to ship out. But my favorite thing is this, the monthly restroom cleaning checklist, with the girls reminding you to do so. And over here, we have the break room. See if we can get this light on. Ta-da!
All right. So yeah, long story short, Iconic has moved. It has a larger warehouse. So if you're watching right now and you've been reading Iconic comics, any of the titles, thank you, thank you, thank you. Because if it wasn't for people buying the books, then Iconic wouldn't need more space and wouldn't need to move into a place that has break rooms and all sorts of stuff like that. So thank you, Brett, and thank you anybody else out there who has been reading the books. Really appreciate it. Speaking of reading the books, boop, Kamen America, Volume 9, and Action Figure Campaign. Last I checked, I don't have the exact math, but it was something along the lines of 2,380 backers between Kickstarter and Indiegogo. 12 days left, and $157,975 raised. Again, 12 days to go. So congratulations to Tim and Mark for another successful campaign. That is rolling along, and yeah, it's just been super cool to watch. Now, regarding Soulfinder, here's the email I got this morning. Oh, I gotta zoom out. Doug, I wanted to let you know that we have an estimated ship date for June 11th for the paperback. Have a great weekend. Sincerely, our printer. So the soft cover of Soulfinder Volume 4, Soulfinder Tunnel Hounds, it's good. I approved the digital prints. I got the physical prints last week. I approved those. There was like a couple minor tweaks, but those were approved. So now everything is going to print, and we are good to go for that. And Noctis Terrari is the short story that I did with Eric Canetti, and I approved the digital prints yesterday, so I should get the physical prints proofs soon. Once those are approved, then that'll go. I'm assuming it'll be the same thing. They'll probably print these together as long as everything's like pretty close. So yeah, the softcover books will be in Texas in early June, and then from there I just got to determine like, okay, well, how do I want to do this? When do I want to sell what? What do I want to put on the website? What do I not want to? How do I want to do a campaign? How big is the campaign? Or I got to make sure I fall within the rules of Kickstarter if we're doing that. So all of that stuff I got to figure out. But I really, as I've said before, I really just wanted to have the books in hand, because once I have the books, I could do anything I want with them. And if I really wanted to, I could just throw them on the Iconic website on a Wednesday morning and be like, hey, book's ready. Let's go. If you're up for it, it's out there. So, but I think what I will do is, if I could get the hardcovers by late June, as I'm hoping, I might just run a really short campaign. We'll see. I don't know. So that's that. And let's see, Heroes Con. Where did I mention that? Oh, also the hardcovers. Mentioned the other day, there's always somebody with each campaign that emails me or DMs me about like little tiny things here or there, particularly like the ribbons or the headband on the hardcover. So this one, since it's a military tale, will be green and gold headband with a green ribbon. And I just want to thank anybody, guys like Brett, actually, who catch the little things and will often say that they appreciate that. So that always brings a smile to my face when somebody gets how thematically I'm trying to tie all these different little things together, even down to the headband level. So thank you. If you are one of those people that catches that sort of stuff, thank you. Okay, so yeah, here we are. Heroes Con is happening June 14th through 16th in Charlotte, North Carolina. If you are in the vicinity, if you are within driving distance, think about it. So I there was a part of me that was like, man, if I could get a few of the soft covers before I went, maybe I'd bring them with me and then just start officially selling the soft covers and then do a campaign. That's the exclusivity element would be the hard covers, but you could also get the soft covers. I don't know, but it looks like I probably wouldn't even get the soft covers. Will ship literally while I'm in North Carolina, so who knows? But anyway, yeah, if you're in the area, come check us out. We love to talk to people about indie comics, about iconic comics, about the books that are coming out. And usually, if we recognize you from Twitter or YouTube and you show up, I will only speak for myself, but I will try and find some sort of freebie or something that I could give you for taking time out of your day to travel and actually see the Iconic Comics booth. So anyway, so think about that. And let's see. Congratulations to Tim as well. Rob, thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate it. So there's a magazine that's dedicated to anime and manga and all that sort of stuff. I don't know. I'm not the expert. I fully confess I am not an expert in anime and manga. My wife is into anime and manga, so what I learn, I basically learned from her or from the stuff when I was in the 90s growing up. I know like old school anime, but I'm getting old these days. Anyway, this particular magazine did up an article on Kamen America as it's sort of there's been the Kamen America fire is going on social media and it's spreading all over the place, the Kamen America brush fire. And so, yeah, they just did up a piece, and congratulations, Tim and Mark. So if you want to read what the Japanese audience is saying about Kamen America, then check out their feeds. The article is right there. You could see a little bit of it right here. So, Rob, Kamen America has been blowing up over 2 weeks now. Yeah, man. I was saying at the start of this, I've been checking out Tim and Mark's page, and you could randomly see people doing all sorts of like different artwork, people doing little figurines, 3D figures, just all sorts of stuff. It's just been nuts, but nuts in a very good way to see everything that they're doing. I know Tim and Mark are uploading to YouTube now more often. They have like animation and things like that. Anyway, so yeah, so there's all sorts of stuff going on with Iconic Comics in terms of little animated shorts. Books are going along. The books are printing in the very near future. Campaigns will launch on my end once I get my books and I know that they're safe and sound down in Texas and I can do whatever I want. And I know that if I want a super quick turnaround and, you know, we start shipping out books right after Bell County Comic Con or before it or whatever, we can figure it out. But yeah. Let's see. Too many to count. I've been looking and retweeting for the longest time. Yeah, I know Tim and Mark have been very busy interacting with Japanese Twitter these days. So very, 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 very cool. Check that out. I've said before, I've never had a bad interaction with the Japanese readers that checked out Soulfinder after first checking out Kamen America. They've all been very, very kind, and yeah, not a bad thing to say about any of them. The other thing, I haven't even seen this up close and personal, but the Iconic Comics Mobile is down in Texas. So when I go down, I haven't been down since last year, August. I will finally be able to see the Iconic Comics Mobile with Father Redder on the passenger side in the front with his rosary. So I'm looking forward to that as well. And yeah, just everything's rolling along. So I don't know. Rob, do you have any other questions? Brett, do you have any other questions regarding Iconic Comics? Do I want to even get into some of the political stuff? Do I want to completely ignore it altogether? I don't know. So, here's the physical proofs that I was talking about on Twitter, so you can see. So every time there's something that happens, so it's a good thing that you go through this process, because I didn't realize there was a page that got in there that was like an earlier draft version. And if I didn't catch it and it got into the final, like the actual book, it wouldn't have been a huge deal, but I would have been kicking myself. There's always something you have to go through with a fine-tooth comb with this stuff. Yesterday on Noctis, they originally thought, or actually, how do I say this? The cover was actually the file was done up as if there might be a spine for the soft cover. And the guy that did it up for me, he was super cool. And he was just thinking ahead. He was just trying to be nice. Anyway, it had a spine on it. And then I got the digital proofs. And I didn't want a situation where the soft cover, it was printed as if like the spine was actually on the front cover or something along those lines. So I had to get with them and be like, no, it doesn't have a spine. I don't want there to be any issues. And we had to go back and then turn off the layer so the spine didn't show, and adjust it and all this sort of stuff. So there's always little details here and there that you would just not realize unless you went through the process. So anybody that puts out independent comic books, even people that I don't particularly like that much, how they behave online, I respect anybody that goes through the process, because I was talking to my wife about it. You wonder why certain campaigns go sideways and they just go off the rails, and people don't understand why things are not getting to them when they're supposed to get them. It's because every step along the way, you have to be on the ball. You have to be focused. And if you're not, something weird is going to happen. Something is going to go wrong. So when you look at Tim and Mark's track record, and you see how many books that they've done in a row that have gone off basically for all intents and purposes without a hitch, I wish I could convey to you how hard it is to do that for like 18 or 19 times in a row or whatever they have done. It is really, really hard to do that. And obviously you get more experience the more you do these sorts of things, but it's still really hard. And there is like random typos, there's little formatting things, there's questions about files, and whether it's 100% black printed or it's 4 black, ink printed, and all sorts of stuff. And then, that was the other thing. I guess I could point to that. So here's an example. If you look at, let me go backwards here. So on the cover for Soulfinder, we're going to do like this emboss sort of effect. But as you can see, the characters sort of fade into the Vietnam skyline here. So what I also wanted to do was have, after talking to a pretty cool dude who's helping me out with all this, it was actually his idea, because he, and I was like, no, that is a really good idea. So he was like, basically what we want to try and do is have the embossing effect fade with the characters, just as the art fades as well. And so there's a process to kind of do that, and we were experimenting around with that. And then we ended up getting back to the printers got back to us and like, no, you got to do it this way if you want to do that, blah, 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 blah. So again, every little thing that you do. And then the other thing was like, there's like a drop shadow here. And then the printers got back to us and they're like, listen, we know you have the foil on Soulfinder, but you also have this drop shadow effect. Do you want to cancel the drop shadow? Because if there's any shift in the files as it's printing, your drop shadow is going to look weird and blah, 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 blah. So all these decisions that you have to make, things that come up and you're like, all right, how much do I want to fight for drop shadow? Do I want to tell them, no, you will do drop shadow. You will do it. And like, you know, or do you want to just say, listen, the key here is that Soulfinder is foil and that we have the emboss effect. I will drop the drop shadow request if you feel it's too risky. And, you know, in the past, I've taken risks with stuff and it came out fine. But at this point in time, I'm like, all right, I will drop the drop shadow, but I need the foil and I need the emboss effect and all this sort of stuff. So every single time something like this happens, you got to be on the ball. And if you're indecisive about stuff, days or maybe weeks will go by. If you don't get back to people right away, sometimes there's a window they can only do X, Y, and Z in that time that they're like, hey, I can do it for you now. Blah, blah. Actually, speaking about that, this isn't completely time sensitive, but Rodrigo Aviles, who did this cover here, he is doing Volume 5 work. And he just read the script for Volume 5. And he's like, hey, Doug, I'm ready to go, man. I got some ideas and stuff like that. So it's one of these things where, you know, I want to be like, Rodrigo, if you're feeling the inspiration, go for it, brother. We will make it happen. But there is no way that I would say like, oh, let me get back to you. You know, we haven't even done Soulfinder 4 yet. Well, I'll get back to you in 6 months because you don't know what's going to happen in 6 months. So if my rule of thumb, after having done this for a few years now, is if an artist tells you that he could do something for you now, jump on it. Because if you wait and you tell them, I'll get back to you on that, well, they're moving on. And there's a high probability that they will not be able to do the thing that they said they could do if you wait. So the second, or like Jeff Spokes. Jeff Spokes was doing work for Tim and Mark and me. And then DC threw the kitchen sink at him and threw all this work at him. And he was just like, oh, man, I really love doing Soulfinder. I will try and squeeze it in for you. But DC keeps throwing all this work at me all over the place. I don't know if I... So that's something where it's like, no, when Jeff said he can do it, dude, make sure, you know, you tell him to do it now. I will figure out a way to pay you now because DC, Marvel, who knows, they will gobble these guys up their time and then they won't be able to do it anymore. So Mr. Grohovec, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. Brett says, Japanese manga, my understanding is that the demon has a different connotation than the American meaning. How have they reacted to the demonic in the Christian context? I found that the Japanese audience are kind of intrigued by Catholicism. They don't particularly, I don't know. It's one of those, how do I say this? I'm trying to be as respectful as they are to me. They're just kind of, I don't want to say like amused or they're interested in it. It piques their interest. But yeah, I feel like there is, you know, they obviously don't have a quote unquote proper Catholic understanding of the demonic per se. But I guess that's where the books come in. If I can continue to write books. That was something that I heard from one particular reader. He was happy to see Catholicism represented in books by an actual Catholic that is trying to write books that are informed by the faith in a way that is, again, faithful to the tenets, the catechism of the Catholic faith. So, yeah. JP, thanks for tuning in as well. And, well, Father Redder, that might be something I should explore down the line. But mine is Francis Xavier. So, yeah, if you want to talk about that sort of stuff. Let's see. Well, I don't want to get into too personal stuff, but yeah, it's St. Francis Xavier. Rob says, if you can answer this as well, how did you guys manage to sponsor both Bell County Comic Con and Anime Sunika? Doug, not something I've seen a group of creators have attempted. How much do I want to get into that? So, yeah, the guy who runs Bell County Comic Con, he is a entrepreneur, and his wife is an entrepreneur, and they are very smart people, and they have been friends with Timothy Lim for quite some time now. And years ago, Tim and I have talked about this. When we first started getting into indie comics, we saw that fulfillment and distribution was a big problem, or it was going to become a problem for indie creators, especially if you have a high volume of books that you need to get out in a timely manner. And so Tim started having conversations with him, and the relationship kind of grew from there. And without getting into all the details, the guy who runs Iconic Comics and runs Bell County Comic Con, he is a savvy entrepreneur, and yeah, he's just a really sharp guy. So we'll just put it that way. I guess if you were like, okay, well, exactly, how do I say this? It gets into networking, which is something that Tim and Mark and myself talked about years ago, is you have to have a certain level of humility and know when things are beyond your scope of expertise. So I'm a writer. I have fairly decent business sense. I have fairly decent sense when it comes to investments and things like that. But I know that I know nothing about running conventions. But if you know that, then you could find people out there who share your vision, who do know a thing or two about putting on large events. Actually, I know a thing or two about putting on medium-sized events, because years ago I worked in the nonprofit field. I worked for the Heritage Foundation. A lot of people know that. And I was the program coordinator for the Young Leaders program. And they had something like 150 to 200 interns that went through the doors every single year. And my job was to host events. There was multiple jobs, but one of them was to host events for all of these interns, roughly 75 per rotation or whatever. And also bring in policy experts to speak to them. But then also I went around the country to different colleges with policy experts, and we would put on events with conservative organizations. Usually young Republicans often would want us to come to their campus. But then sometimes it was just, there were a few professors that were not necessarily friendly per se to the Heritage Foundation, but they had us in as well. And for those events, if you were going around the country, you needed to, well, I shouldn't say needed to, but they wanted you to make sure that you had a certain size audience to justify all of the costs with shipping books, buying plane tickets, food, the policy experts' time, and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, the point is my expertise is limited. If you want just a couple hundred people at an event and you want it to go smoothly, I might be able to do that for you. But if you want literally 35 to 40,000 people at an event, I am not the guy. But the guy who runs Iconic Comics is. And so you need to be able to delegate tasks, delegate responsibilities. And on my end, I'm like, hey, I can get you Soulfinder books at this rate, and we could have this deal together. And where you make X number on however many each book sold or the merchandise sold and blah blah blah. So my part is I got to just get you the Soulfinder books. If you need art related to Soulfinder, I can get you that. If you want new merchandise, I will investigate different possibilities for that, and then I will get that to you. But when it comes to Bell County Comic Con, I will trust you. I will trust your judgment. I am not going to be in your hair bugging you about stuff. I will trust you. So that was a long-winded way of saying that if you want to do cool things, you got to find people that are talented, that have different sets of expertise that you can trust. And you don't need to worry about, if they say they're going to do X, Y, and Z, they're going to do X, Y, and Z. And you need to put your ego aside. And if they say, hey, I need you to do this for me so I can do that, then you got to, do it. So a lot of it is just teamwork and being able to count on each other, sort of like with Heroes Convention. Imagine a situation where I told Tim and Mark and Eric, yeah, I'll totally go. I'm going to Heroes Con with you guys. And then June 11th rolls around, and then I was just like, oh, hey, guys, I didn't buy my tickets, and they're a little expensive now, so I'm just going to, nope out on you. And good luck. Well, yeah, I know that I said I was going to go. I know that the promotional material said I was going to go there. I know that we told everyone I was going to go there, but I didn't buy my tickets. So sorry. You could cover for me. Right. Oh, you can't have people like that. So I bought my tickets already. I'm ready to go. I will be there. Absent some sort of I don't know, health thing, or if I got hit by a car and I'm in the hospital or something like that. But as long as I am healthy, I got my ticket. I am ready to go. I got my books. I will be there. So yeah. Let's see. Mr. Grohovac. Ironic for Japan since Christianity was banned in 1620. Well, a lot of times when you ban things, it just makes people more interested in them. So then you start getting underground, interest in something. And, so the more that you try and clamp down on speech and ideas and stuff like that, it tends to actually make people gravitate towards it because they're like, oh, you don't want me to read this? You don't want me to see this? I think I do want to read this. I think I do want to see this, and that sort of stuff. So most of the time, that sort of stuff tends to backfire. The more stringent that you get with trying to control the flow of information. Neostar Productions, thanks for tuning in. Says Soulfinder will bring us back home. Yeah. So, yeah. All right. Well, I think I covered most of the things that I wanted to cover. Unless you have any other questions, comments, or concerns. So, Rob, thanks again for tuning in. Appreciate it. Let's see. Do I want to cover the political stuff? I'm just not into the politics these days. Oh, Rugged Rosaries. I got to circle back with them. I don't want to bug them, but they have new rosaries coming as well. So my guess is I will also have those by June. So those are the Memento Mori rosaries. So they have little skulls on them on each decade. I showed those on Twitter. I don't know where they are right now. There's probably a picture somewhere. But anyway, new rosaries are coming, and I will get those out. So yeah, I think I've covered everything that I wanted to cover. Congratulations to Scott and Bryce on the Kindred Heavens Book 2 campaign. That's about all on my end. I've been talking for a little over half an hour. I don't want to force it. I really just wanted to catch up with you guys and let you know that good things are happening. Trying to be positive, trying to be upbeat, and congratulations. Check out the Kamen America Volume 9 an action figure campaign if you haven't already. JB, thanks again for tuning in. Neostar Productions, Mr. Kohovac, Rob, and Brett, and anybody else who's lurking in the shadows, friend or foe. I know there's some people that don't particularly like me too much who watch, but thank you for watching. Today, it was just a bunch of positive stuff. So like I said, Soulfinder soft covers should ship to Texas June 11th, and I will have my copies sent to Nevada. They'll probably arrive when I get back from North Carolina. So Neostar, seriously, that Soulfinder trailer theme song is still stuck in my head. Well, the vinyl edition of the Soulfinder soundtrack will be offered in the near future once the books are ready. If I launch a campaign, the Soulfinder soundtrack vinyl will be offered with that. I have those. I've been holding on to them for a long time. Anyway, thanks again to everyone who's tuned in. I really appreciate it. I will be back sometime in the near future, and I'll see you guys later. See ya.